Buckle up, listeners, because this deep dive is going to take us somewhere truly weird. I'm talking seriously mind-bending stuff.
Sounds like my kind of deep dive.
We're talking about Pretendity.
Pretend what?
Pretendity. It's Pretendity. Yeah.
Okay, never heard of it. Lay it on me.
Well, basically, it's this wild concept where things exist not because they're, actually true, but because they exist as if they were real.
Like fake it till you make it, but on a, cosmic scale.
Exactly. Like imagine a dragon.
Right. Fire-breathing, mythical beast. Got it.
But not just any dragon. A Pretendity dragon. It just is. No mythology needed.
Okay, I'm listening.
Get this. It might even be allergic to pollen.
A dragon with hay fever. Now that's something I'd like to see.
Right, so that's just a taste of Pretendity.
Definitely piqued my curiosity.
We're going to explore this theory, what it means, what it could mean for us, and whether, maybe, just maybe, we're living in a world that's way more Pretendity than we realize.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us. Let's dive in.
All right, so the first thing we need to unpack is this idea that belief can actually shape reality.
It's not as out there as it sounds. Think placebo effect.
Right. But in Pretendity, it goes even further. The source material calls it the law of convincing nonsense.
Yes, the convincing nonsense. It's like if enough people believe in something, even if it makes absolutely zero sense, it can become, functional.
So give me an example. Like, how could nonsense actually become functional?
Picture this, a spoon.
Okay, a spoon. Pretty standard utensil.
But the spoon only works if you believe in Tuesdays.
What? Only works if you believe in Tuesdays. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. It's utter nonsense. But in Pretendity, if enough people buy into that idea, that spoon could actually become a functional eating utensil.
So it's not about logic or reason. It's about collective delusion becoming a reality.
Precisely. And that's where things start to get really interesting and, kind of unsettling, especially when you consider something called the uncanny convergence hypothesis.
The uncanny convergence hypothesis.
Yep.
Sounds intense.
Basically, the idea is that as our real world gets weirder, with crazy news cycles, AI taking over, all that jazz, Pretendity and reality start to overlap.
Okay, yeah, I can actually see that.
Yeah.
Like with all the deep fakes and misinformation flying around, it's tough to tell what's real anymore.
Exactly. It's like we're living in this bizarre mix of truth and fiction, and the lines just keep getting blurrier. It's almost as if reality itself is becoming more Pretendity-like.
So then where do we even draw the line anymore?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one that we'll be grappling with as we go deeper into this Pretendity rabbit hole.
Speaking of rabbit holes, let's talk about the inhabitants of this Pretendity world.
Ah, yes. The denizens of the unreal.
The source material mentions beings like Imaginariats and conceptual freelancers, but what really blew my mind was this. They're not bound by continuity.
Continuity? What do you mean?
Like the idea that something has a consistent identity over time. In Pretendity, a being could literally be a chair 1 minute, a sandwich the next, and then an emotion after that, all depending on who's observing it.
It's like identity is fluid, constantly shifting based on perception. It's as if the very essence of being is up for grabs in Pretendity.
That's definitely a different way of looking at things. So how does all of this Pretendity stuff, how does it connect back to us? People living in the quote-unquote real world.
Well, think about the Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
Right.
You mean like remembering Nelson Mandela dying in prison when he actually didn't?
Exactly. Or, remembering the Berenstain Bears being spelled with an E instead of an A.
Oh, yeah. I always thought it was Berenstein.
In Pretendity theory, these Mandela effects are seen as potential leakages from that Pretendity world into ours.
So maybe in some alternate Pretendity reality, Nelson Mandela did die in prison, and the Berenstain Bears are spelled with an E.
It's a mind-boggling possibility, isn't it? It makes you question how much of what we perceive as real is actually just a shared delusion, a collective misremembering.
That's kind of freaky.
It is. And the source material gets even wilder. It suggests that things like quantum mechanics and social media algorithms might actually exhibit Pretendity-like qualities.
Okay, hold on. Quantum mechanics. What's that got to do with Pretendity?
Well, in quantum mechanics, particles can exist in multiple states at the same time. They can be both a wave and a particle until they are observed. It's like the act of observation determines their reality.
So it's not about one objective truth, but multiple possibilities existing simultaneously.
Exactly. And that aligns perfectly with Pretendity's as-if principle. It's not about what is definitively true, but what we believe or perceive to be true.
And social media algorithms, how do those fit into all of this?
Think about how these algorithms work. They track your every click, every like, every share, and then they use that data to curate your online experience.
So they're basically creating a personalized reality bubble for each user.
Right, and those bubbles can become echo chambers that reinforce your existing beliefs, even if those beliefs are based on misinformation or, just a limited perspective.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of pretendity.
Yeah.
You're constantly being fed information that confirms your existing biases, so your reality becomes increasingly shaped by what you already believe, whether it's true or not.
Exactly. And that's why it's more important than ever to be critical thinkers, to question what we see and hear, and to be aware of the potential influence of these algorithms.
So what we're saying is the line between reality and pretendity is not as clear-cut as we might think.
It's blurry, it's fluid, and it's constantly being reshaped by our beliefs, our perceptions, and even the technology we use.
After this deep dive into pretendity, I think it's safe to say that things are a lot weirder than they seem.
Weird and possibly wonderful. Who knows what possibilities might exist if we embrace the fluidity of reality?
Right. Maybe there's a version of us out there living in a world where dragons are real, spoons only work on Tuesdays, and the Berenstain Bears are spelled with an E.
And maybe, just maybe, that world is closer than we think.
So, to everyone listening, keep an open mind, question everything, and maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see the world in a whole new light.
And who knows, maybe you'll even start to bend reality to your will. Just be careful what you wish for.
That's a great place to leave it. Thanks for joining us on this mind-bending exploration of pretendity. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep pretending.
Or maybe stop pretending. Who knows, maybe the real world is even more interesting than anything we could imagine.
That's the real question, isn't it?
It certainly is.
All right, everyone, thanks for listening.
Until next time.